So if you end up in prison on charges of intending to stir up racial hatred, as I was, and lots of other people was, most people to do with the riots were, it's a dangerous place to be in prison. And I found that out myself. I mean, I'd literally landed on the wing, and the first time we was unlocked for association, it was 10 minutes. And I had three guys in my cell beating me up as I sat in a wheelchair.
And can I just clarify, Mark, because this is important? Sly News has previously reported that it was Muslim prison gangs that were going to target the so-called Southport rioters, or I know you weren't a rioter, but you were someone who was accused of writing a racist Facebook post or whatever it was. Was it a Muslim gang that targeted you?
I would assume so, based on appearance and from what I knew from my time in there. Yes, I would say so, but I wouldn't be able to say that 100%.
Okay. But you believe that it was Asian men who physically attacked you?
It was definitely Asian men that physically attacked me.
So when Elon Musk, the world's most successful businessman, the number one outspoken freedom fighter, and let's be honest, the ultimate political influencer anywhere, when he makes a prediction about UK politics, you should listen. So even though the Westminster elites, the Uni Party of Labour and the Conservatives, the Deep State and the MSM might all scoff, I believe his intervention today is more than significant. As it happens, I also believe that it will be proven to be true. So let me show you. End Wokeness, the Mega X account, posted Slippery Starmer's record drop in approval with the words, "The UK had instant buyer's remorse." Musk, who, let me remind you, has been spending time recently with Reform UK leader Nigel Farage at Mar-a-Lago, added, "All establishment parties in the UK will get crushed in the next election." Crushed. Crushed Labour. Crushed the Conservatives. Crushed the Lib Dems. Now, I know what all the usual suspects will say. Elon's mad. What does he know? He's not in this country. We have an electoral system designed to stop any change happening, etc., etc., etc. But I live here. I'm with the people every day. And I've never seen such anger at a government going to war with its own people like this. Not to mention lying to us and spitting in our face. Look at those girls. People who were horrified, utterly horrified by the alleged crimes of Axel Rudolph, who stands accused of butchering to death 3 young women at a Taylor Swift dance class and has since been charged with terror offences for the production of ricin and being in possession of an Al-Qaeda training manual. And that starts with the appalling fact that the UK now has political prisoners and no one wants to talk about it. Some of these political prisoners simply sent a Facebook post. And I want to read to you now a message of despair that was sent to me by Rachel Hallowell. Rachel wrote, "My son, who is 16, will be sentenced on the 3rd of December for the Southport riots. It is his first offence. His sister was groom raped and beaten at 12 in Southport. She killed herself after being failed by Merseyside Police, Sefton Council, Stanley High School. Her inquest starts 13th of January. Her brother is going to prison." Now, I have been in communication with Rachel, but I haven't been able to confirm any of the details in her post as yet. But the point is, surely we should be interested in what she had to say. But it was Elon Musk who brought Rachel's claims to public consciousness by simply sharing what she had posted on X and saying, "This seems messed up." Did she get support from any UK establishment politician? Of course not. But the fight back is coming. And it's going to come from the independent media and from citizen journalism empowered by Musk's X. So today I clear the stage for Mark Heath, who the authorities tried to destroy for his social media posts after the Southport Massacre Cover Up. But when they tried to coerce the former prison officer into pleading guilty, he refused. When they sent him to jail, not an easy place for a former prison officer to be for obvious reasons, he still refused. And in court, he was found not guilty by a jury of his peers. And as he now says, people have got to stop pleading guilty. Now, some people, the establishment folk, the quinoa eaters, the Islington set, probably don't like much about Mark Heath. Because let me tell you, he's much more like you or I than anyone in the establishment. Here's his X profile. Proud Englishman, anti-woke, anti-radical Muslims, anti-lefties, reform voter, right-wing, Leicester City Christian. A lot of things there the establishment hates, right? But that we should celebrate. And he is now raising money to help the political prisoners pick up the pieces of their lives and also their family members who are really struggling with what's going on. While the mainstream media has ignored their cases, I am proud to have spoken up for these patriots who find themselves locked up in a clear act of retribution by Starmer's goons. And I know why this has happened. They want to terrify the rest of us into silence. What else could explain Dafron Williams, a former soldier with PTSD, who served his country in Afghanistan and Iraq, being jailed for 2 years for a Facebook post and, shock horror, attending a Tommy Robinson rally? Lock him up immediately for that, right? Meanwhile, this same judge, Tracy Lloyd Clark, recently let a paedophile walk free. When you hear that, don't you just think, what sort of society are we living in? Well, I'll tell you. A society that sends a 23-year-old care worker called Cameron Bell to jail for 9 months for streaming unrest after the Southport Massacre on TikTok as a citizen journalist. A society that allowed a proud anti-globalist, pro-Brexit campaigner called Peter Lynch to die behind bars. A society that locks up the wife of a Conservative politician for an X post, and a grandmother and full-time carer who's never been in trouble with the law for a Facebook post. Both received sentences of over 2 years. And I repeat, paedophiles and women beaters get let off on a daily basis without having served 1 day in prison. So this is just one of the reasons, but it's a very important reason why I think Elon Musk is right about the establishment parties. Because we will never again vote for politicians who hate their own people. And now, the uncancelled interview. Mark Heath, I am so delighted to speak to you. We have been communicating, of course, a little bit behind the scenes, but I think it's so important that people understand that when you are targeted by the establishment, when you are targeted by the authorities for simply making posts on social media, do not give in. Do not be coerced into pleading guilty, because you are proof that you can put your argument, which is based on free speech, and be cleared. But Mark, I know this took a massive toll on you, because not only were you arrested in the most horrific circumstances and charged for your social media posts, you were actually locked up in prison too.
Yeah, actually locked up in prison too, which, as you said earlier, it's really not a nice place to be as an ex-prison officer. And let me tell you, they know as well. And I was a prison officer a long, long time ago. And the people that are getting locked up for these crimes, um, a lot of it is racially motivated, or so the police say. So if you end up in prison on charges of intending to stir up racial hatred, as I was, and lots of other people was, most people to do with the riots were, it's a dangerous place to be in prison. And I found that out myself. I mean, I'd literally landed on the wing, and the first time we was unlocked for association, it was 10 minutes. And I had three guys in my cell beating me up as I sat in a wheelchair.
And can I just clarify, Mark, because this is important? Sly News has previously reported that it was Muslim prison gangs that were going to target the so-called Southport rioters, or I know you weren't a rioter, but you were someone who was accused of writing a racist Facebook post or whatever it was. Was it a Muslim gang that targeted you?
I would assume so, based on appearance and from what I knew from my time in there. Yes, I would say so, but I wouldn't be able to say that 100%.
Okay. But you believe that it was Asian men who physically attacked you?
It was definitely Asian men that physically attacked me.
So you're beaten up behind bars, and this is all because the authorities, like they've done with so many of these other poor souls, want you to plead guilty. And presumably they're saying, although I don't want to put words in your mouth, but presumably they're sort of nudging you along to the idea of, look, if you plead guilty, you'll get a lesser sentence. There's no way you're going to get off. You made these posts. Is that sort of what goes down?
100%. That's exactly how it goes down. I mean, when I got taken to the police station, you can hear the police officers talking, and whether it was intentional or not, I'm pretty sure it was. These guys are not going to get away with this. He's going to get put in prison for a long time. It's best if he pleads guilty. I took a duty solicitor when I got taken to the police station, and the first lady that came to speak to me, she had a look at my posts and things like that, and straight away she said, "You need to plead guilty for this because it's all there in black and white. There's no getting away from this." And I'm like, "Well, hold on a minute. They've charged me with intending to stir up racial hatred by means of posting or written material." I said, "I didn't intend to do nothing. All I was doing was sharing my opinion on matters which most people in the UK feel the same way." When you're exposed to arena bombings, to London bombings, to beheadings in the street, to all these things that have gone on, and this is recent memory as well. You build up a thought process of certain individuals and certain ideologies, and you have an opinion on it. And everybody's allowed to have an opinion. And I said this in court as well. You've probably got an opinion of me based on what you're trying to portray me as to this jury. I've got an opinion on you, and that's how it should be, because that's how a democracy is, and that is how freedom of speech works.
Yes, and the point is, on the days surrounding the Southport riot, there was a lot of, I mean, I don't use the terms, by the way, Mark, disinformation and misinformation or conspiracy theories or anything like that, because I actually think they are terms that have been weaponized by the left. But let's just call it what it was. There was a lot of fake news going around. But one of the reasons that there was so much fake news, and Nigel Farage has been very clear on this, and I absolutely believe it to be the case, is because the public were not being told the truth about Axel Rudakabana, and we knew that the portrayal of him was not correct. Now, as you know, we have to be careful because we have these ludicrous contempt of court laws in this country, which means that the mainstream media are able to just hide behind the process and say, oh, we couldn't possibly report anything about Axel Rudakabana. Now, that actually isn't true. You can talk about certain aspects of his life, like I have reported the fact this week. It was actually revealed by Tommy Robinson via the independent journalist Lewis Brackpool that Axel Rudakabana is now attending mosque at Belmarsh Prison. I mean, that is clearly a piece of information that is in the public interest that does not in any way prejudice his trial. But I guess the point that I'm making with your posts is that, sure, some of the information was wrong, but part of that is because there was a vacuum of information, which we know now to be true, given the fact that Axel Rudolph has been charged with producing ricin and being in possession of an Al-Qaeda training manual.
It makes you sick, doesn't it? I mean, I'll be the first to admit that I got taken in by the Channel 3 in on a boat and etc. You know, and the name Al Shakati. I admit that.
Yeah,
And
it was
I
fake
admit
news.
It's fake news, fake news. However, when mainstream media are not telling you the name of the perpetrator, things that were happening on the day, you automatically build up an assumption of what's going on. Now, the mainstream media tend to only keep news away from you to prevent you from going a certain way. You know, you've got soldiers being stabbed at a barracks, and it's a mental health episode. It's everything is becoming a mental health episode at the moment.
But first, we've partnered with Gundry MD to share this information with you. Would you believe me if I told you inside your pantry right now is one of the healthiest foods on the planet? Yep, it's true, and it's not some weird trendy superfood. Spoiler alert, it's olive oil. You've probably used it cooking, but there are countless ways to use olive oil to help yourself feel and look younger. For example, olive oil is a natural way to help you achieve a more youthful appearance. Besides helping you look younger on the outside, it's a fantastic tool for your insides as well. According to Dr. Stephen Gundry, a famous cardiothoracic surgeon, nutrition expert, and health advocate, you should get as much high-quality olive oil into your daily routine as possible, whether it's taking a shot of it daily or keeping a bottle of it in your medicine cabinet. But what kind of olive oil is best for your health? Well, any olive oil can give you some benefits, but if you're looking to get the best result, it matters a lot which one you pick. The olive oil industry is huge. You can tell by the number of olive oil brands you see at the grocery store, and you can bet they're not all made with the consumer in mind, and many brands may even cut corners one way or another to increase profits. When Dr. Gundry came to this realization, he was appalled. But some olive oils are so powerful, it may only take a few tablespoons a week to see these incredible health benefits. So how can you tell between an olive oil that can be a health booster and which one isn't up to par? In an effort to answer that question, Dr. Gundry has decided to take a stand and release his personal research and findings. This video has gone viral since its release, and it's important you can see it so you can start benefiting immediately. So I'll tell you how. All you need to do is go to getolive1.com/outspoken, or it's probably easier if you just click in the link which is in the description box below. So let me repeat, that's olive, OLIVE, the number 1.com/outspoken, or just click in the link in the description box below. People who have taken his advice have shared their results with him, saying the olive oil they bought after learning his simple rules have helped change their lives. So make sure you go to getolive1.com/outspoken or click on the link in the description box below.
Now, people knew, because of that vacuum that you talk about, that things wasn't adding up here. So obviously people start putting their own assumptions on things, and people are allowed to have thoughts. They're allowed to think what they like, who it could be, etc., etc. But there was news coming out from Southport itself, from residents who heard certain things, who heard him say certain things as he was doing what he's alleged to have done. So that's not fake news. That's straight from the horse's mouth, and that comes from direct from those people. So yeah, and what should have happened when all this was building up and building up and building up? The mainstream media, the Keir Starmer, should have come out and said, look, this is what it is, this is what's happened, etc., etc. And it would have quashed all of that right from the start. But they didn't. They let it go 3 days before they decided, because his name was never going to get mentioned because he was 17. But because of the way things were being built up, they felt it necessary then to release details about him. But they still omitted the fact that he is... he goes to mosques. They knew that. They knew at the time when all this was happening that there was Al Qaeda material in his
And again,
apartment.
I'll just clarify, this isn't some sort of conspiracy to spread that. I have literally had Liz Truss, the former Prime Minister, on this show, and she has been utterly clear about the fact that Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper would have been told, possibly within hours, but definitely within days, that piece of information. Priti Patel, the former Home Secretary, has also confirmed such a fact to the Daily Telegraph. So this isn't some sort of conspiracy. And yet we had Starmer and Yvette Cooper out there in public trying to denigrate the so-called Southport rioters, or people like you who post information that may have turned out not to be true on social media, as part of the far right, as being sucked in by snake oil populism. So do you feel like they were purposefully attempting to mislead?
Well, 100%. But what they don't realise is the public, we're not stupid. They treat us all for fools. They think that they're up here on a pedestal and they know certain things and we can't know certain things. We are not stupid. The public are not stupid. I'm not stupid. You're not stupid. And the vast majority of the UK population and the world, for that matter, are not stupid. And we know that when things are being hidden, and they're being hidden for a reason. And it's not just the fact that they have hidden his identity or the Al Qaeda magazine material or the ricin. There's a whole other scandal behind all of this, which I don't know about, but there's definitely something more. And Nigel Farage is talking about that. He has been open.
Well, he has said that this is one of the biggest cover-ups of our lifetime. Yeah. I have tried to, within the bounds of the law, push as hard as I can to talk about the truth here on Outspoken. I have been disgusted watching the mainstream media literally ignore this cover-up. I mean, even GB News has not spoken about the Southport cover-up once, not once. Nigel Farage has been able to write about it for the Daily Telegraph, talk about it in the Winston Marshall Show podcast interview, but not one word has been uttered on GB News because they are so terrified. And this is the problem. That vacuum of information causes even more distrust. But can I just ask, Mark, because you're under huge pressure, right? You're under absolutely intense pressure. You're in jail. You're being beaten up by Asian men who may have been part of a Muslim gang. And you know by this point that you are facing potentially 20 months behind bars. I mean, there have been people who have received 20 months or more for a Facebook post. So what made you decide to fight and say, absolutely not, come what may, I'm going to plead not guilty?
I know how prison works anyway. So I know certain things that maybe other people may not know. But I think the police were a bit silly with me because they actually arrested for intending to stir up racial hatred. Now, I knew that there was no intention there at all. If they'd arrested me and charged me with posting silly, stupid messages on X, I would have gone guilty. But they didn't. And they were trying to portray me in a certain way, which just wasn't true. I'm just a Joe Public who's got strong opinions on a lot of things, and I'm not afraid to say it, as other people are not. And with regards to, I was facing a period of time in jail. My barrister, my counsel actually said to me, if this goes wrong, you're probably looking at 3-4 years because you've gone not guilty. So that won't look well in the judge's eyes. And even then, I'm like, look, I am not guilty and I'm not pleading guilty all the way through. When I had my initial plea hearing, I was on remand in prison. It was via video link because I was in a wheelchair and I was quite poorly at the time with the whole situation. The judge who was doing the plea hearing, he asked me how I plead, and I said, I am not guilty. And they almost chuckled. I can see him like smile and kind of like, are you sure, Mr. Heath? And I'm like, yes, I'm sure. I am not guilty. And they told my counsel, why has he done that? You know, why are you not advising him what needs to be done? And I was quite clear with my counsel all the way through. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what you say, what you advise me. I am going not guilty. And bearing in mind that I live in Leicester, which is quite a diverse part of the country. It's so taking a jury in Leicester, which is where it was, my trial was held at Loughborough, it was potluck. I could have had 12 Muslim jurors come on and be my jury. and it may have worked out different for me. I was quite lucky with my jury, and so all the way through this, I was nervous, but I'm a Christian boy and I pray a lot, and my victory is God's victory, and I just had a strong feeling all the way through. My wife did too, that I'm not guilty, and it was loud and clear: not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. You've got to go, not guilty. So that I was steadfast all the way through. I wasn't for changing, even though various people throughout the way were making that. I mean, the police interview that I had was, they were like, I did a no comment interview, by the way. I said nothing. And I advise anybody that's going through this or it's due to come or anything like that, you stay silent, you say nothing or no comment, and you go not guilty on these sort of charges. Because if you get a sensible jury, which there are many, many sensible people in the UK, they will find you not guilty, as was the case. But all the way through, I was being coerced, and I can say that to you, and I can say it now, and I'm not bothered, because it was what it was. I'm telling the truth, that there was massive pressure on me to go guilty, for a lighter sentence. Plead guilty, you're going to get a lighter sentence, 30-40%, all this kind of thing. But it was a no. So it was quite scary for me going guilty, and knowing that if it all goes wrong for me, then my sentence would have been longer, because of the fact that I've denied it all the way through. I had a horrible judge. He was a horrid man. I was let out on bail. I was in prison for nearly 2 weeks at the start of everything. And my health took such a nosedive, and I had my issues in there, that we put a bail application through. I was in a wheelchair. I was having seizures. I had 2 hospital admissions. I had 6-7 paramedic call-outs. They took all my medication off me. I have a raft of medication, morphine, all sorts of things, which they just point blank stopped as soon as I got in there. And the excuse, listen, you're in prison. Don't care. You're not having it. So I fought to get them back. I don't think if I didn't have had those health issues in prison, I wouldn't have been let out on bail. But even when I was let out, I was tagged. I had my passport taken from me because I'm going to be flying off somewhere with in a wheelchair. I had that taken off me. I had a curfew from 7 till 7. So the effect it had not only on me, but my family was immense. So I'm fully aware what other families are going through right now, because there's people that still got to go to trial yet.
This is lawfare.
I know.
It's lawfare, pure and simple. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.